The Raiders got beat on Thursday night with a quarterback wearing Josh Johnson's number 17. Early in the game, they had a shot of Shanahan on the sideline, and I saw behind him like a 17 standing there. You know how the backup QB stands with like his hands in his neck, like you know, in his pads in the front, just standing there. And I was like, it did not compute for me. I'm like, who is 17? Is that a receiver who is that? And then I just forgot that I'd seen him until he came into the game when the 49ers were up 35-7 in Tom Brady's homecoming.
Guy, my girlfriend looks at me. She goes, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Well, he's the backup quarterback." She's like, "I thought Brock Purdy was the backup quarterback." I'm like, "Well, yeah, he's no longer the backup quarterback. You have to have a backup quarterback." She's like, "But I thought he was really the third string quarterback." I'm like, "Yeah, when you have 7 guys shatter ankles and break knee, you know, it's a trickle down effect, and you got to get a guy for practice squad. It's a complicated transaction here, but it's I would say it's pretty rare to see a guy. One, I mean, he came into the season. It's one thing to be Mr. Relevant, and he talked about it this week. Like, I played the game, but I also was focused on making the team. He had a battle to make the team. But then he made the team. They re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he wasn't sniffing the field. I mean, this was a guy in shorts and a T-shirt for the entire season if guys do not get injured, right? He's not, even if Trey Lance gets Wally pipped by, you know, when I say Wally pipped, like bench for Jimmy Garoppolo, like this guy was not going to be playing. So then to come in as the backup and eventually start a game and look and play like that, whether you're playing the Houston Texans or whether you're playing, you know, Tampa Bay and Devin White and Todd Bowles, like that was just that was an eye test game where you went like, holy shit, that was really, really impressive, right? Don't need to see the stats. You just watch the game. He's throwing touchdowns. He's running around. He's poised. He's making accurate throws. He's tough. He got peppered. You just go, shit, like that is a hat tip for the NFL. No doubt about it. Game ball, no doubt about it. Just a lot of respect from the dudes. You know?
Yeah, especially you and I texted, obviously, throughout the game. But, you know, Brady, first of all, the Niners defense looked really fast. The 49ers as a team looked really fast in this game, offensively and defensively. But their defense looked really fast. And from the first defensive snap of the game, they were getting after Brady. And I thought it affected Brady and the Bucs offense. Well, Purdy got crushed on the first play of the game. And luckily for the Niners, it was a personal foul penalty on Keanu Neal, too.
Crushed.
And you just didn't know, is this a good sign or a bad sign? Because like you texted me, you went glass half full. Hey, he held on to the ball. But what concerned me about it was that what happened was basically what we had talked about a little bit during the week. Eli Manning's kind of warning for what it's like to play the Bucs defense. And we'd seen it in the Bucs game the week before, is that free rushers are a regular thing for this defense. And a free rusher came in, and it was after Greg Olsen pointed out BP13. What does that mean? Nickname?
Well, TB12.
Oh, TB12, BP13. Somebody just put that in the comments. That's good.
I think that's pretty funny.
As Greg, you know, I thought what was interesting about him getting crushed was that Greg Olsen's like, he changed the play, and then he let a free rusher get through and crushed him. And so for him, I thought the bounce back after that play was a pretty good indication. So then on that drive, he hits Debo in the back of the head. That was a couple plays later. And then he settled down, and that's when he had a great throw to Kittle in the flat. Not that we're doing the Purdy breakdown yet. We'll get to that. But I just thought the Niners defense looked really fast. And I did feel early in the game like I don't know exactly what the Niners offense is going to be, but I thought their defense, it was clear, was like it was going to be hard for them to get outscored given how good their defense looked early.
Well, that offense has been terrible, right? Beside those couple drives at the end of the Saints game, you and I went over the points that they had been scoring in recent games. If you just watch them, they're pretty putrid on offense. They're not an explosive offense. Kind of weird to see Tom yelling at Evans. And Evans, pretty high-level guy, like was just kind of didn't want to try to get into a shouting match with him. Just like, Tom, your balls are fucking flying all over the place.
Yeah.
Tom, you look a little like Jimmy when he's off. Like, what is going on with you, my man? Like if we just look at it, Tom Brady played a game against Brock Purdy, and one guy was dramatically better. Like, just, it wasn't even close. I mean, Tom was 35 of 55. Honestly, that feels better than what I witnessed. He was, how many of those were the second half dump off plays. I mean, balls over the middle, flying all over the map. To me, Purdy was accurate. To me, he brings an element of athleticism that, you know, they originally had with Trey. I mean, Trey's a better athlete than Purdy, but like he can really move in terms of behind the line of scrimmage. That's not really Jimmy's thing. This guy's pretty good at it. Like I said, Jimmy's not as good of an athlete as this guy. And this guy, to me, plays pretty fast behind the line of scrimmage, just scrambling around, making guys miss. Like I like that element of what Purdy brings to the table. And he's pretty, I guess he's confident throwing on the run.
Yeah.
You know, for a guy without some huge Josh Allen hose.
It's hard to talk about this game without talking about Brock. And we're going to reserve some time here in a second to really get into Brock. Did you see the video, though, that the NFL posted of Brady coming in before he went in the locker room, just arriving at the stadium? He stops and he takes a photo of what in a hallway. It looks like it's a photo of, you know, several
like Jerry, Ronnie Lott, and Joe Montana and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, Tom has always been right in the moment. There was a video of him hugging Bryant Young before the game on the field, too. I'm not sure if you saw that, but he recognized him, came over and said hi.
You see him say, "You're a fucking beast."
Yeah. I love you, he said. You know, and his dad was there, and there's somebody wrote, I saw on Twitter.
He bought 100 tickets, friends and family.
Had 100 tickets. Somebody said on Twitter today or yesterday that Brock Purdy's family already was planning to come to this game before Brock became the quarterback because everyone was coming to see Brady. Like this was a huge day, right? I think we talked about it before the season. What would be the hottest ticket on the secondary market preseason? And I thought it was maybe it was the Chargers, and then somehow we found that actually you were right that it was this Bucs game, like preseason before the Bucs became a sub 500 divisional leader.
We talked about it, I think, like a month, like early on in the season, maybe like early October. And I had a season ticket holder text me and pretty quickly after he heard our conversation is like, bro, I almost got 4.5x for this game for my 4 seats.
Selling it, whatever.
Yeah.
Which in a weird way, if you were a Niner fan of this game, it kind of delivered for you in a very different way than what you anticipated. But there was a lot. I think it's easy after blowouts to forget how much a buildup for some games there is. Like, I think you can watch a college football playoff semifinal. This happens all the time. And there's all this buildup. And then the game, it's a blowout and the game sucks. And this game did not suck because Brock is so, like, I think if Jimmy had just had the game Brock had, it'd even feel a little different. But it's just pretty stunning to see Tom Brady lose by 28 points. And really, I mean, the Niners, well, I guess they scored a touchdown in the second half, but four of the touchdowns came in the first half. Right?
Well, guy, I'm looking right now. Their point differential right now is 120. To put that into perspective, the Eagles, who are 12-1, is 138.
Wow.
The 49ers point differential, I mean, the Cowboys actually pretty good too, 131. Everyone else in the conference, in the South, everyone's in the red. The only team in the positive in the North is the Lions, and they're +2, right? I mean,
Seattle, with a 19-point loss to the Chiefs, or a 21-point loss to the Chiefs.
And Seattle, who's 7-6 and had a really good season, is +8. So,
that's a great call. Here's what we've got. Blew out the Seahawks by 20. Beat the Rams the first time by 15. Beat the Panthers by 22.
Game felt a lot bigger too.
Beat the Rams the second time around 31-14. Beat the Cardinals by 28. Beat the Dolphins 33-17. I mean, you're right. For a team that at times feels like they got blowout win. They have how many? What would you consider a blowout win in the NFL? 3 scores, like 17 or more?
Blowout win, I'd say anything over 2 touchdowns. So I'd say 15 and above. Don't you think?
Sometimes a game can get to 15 and it wasn't a blowout necessarily, like when you eyeballed it, But I would say I'd say 17. But you're right.
It also depends. Like you get a late pick 6 or something when it's actually a 10-point game. Here's what I know. I think for the roller coaster ride that has been this season, the overwhelming majority of teams, maybe like this, if you just looked at this season, besides probably the Chiefs and the Bills, maybe the Eagles, but I think it's easy to say that now because they're 12-1, I think most teams just, hey, you can be 9-4, huge point differential, playing your best football headed in December, right? Everyone signs up for that. Like that is just a lock. What you sign up for to go 11-6 or 12-5, but it doesn't feel like that. They have the last couple weeks, but the season doesn't quite feel like where we're at right now with the results. Because obviously we'll get into Debo a little bit later. Hopefully, Kyle said no break, so he's going to be okay. They've had some crazy injuries.
Are you saying hopefully Kyle says that, or Kyle said that?
No, he said that. It's not a broken ankle. So, and obviously he avoided a knee injury, but they have lost guys. I mean, like starting corners, starting quarterbacks, you know. Debo has missed a game. Kittle's missed time. They do the McCaffrey trade, and then he gets dinged up. Elijah Mitchell's been lost twice. It's been a crazy season. There's no way about it how they got here. Last season was much more nail-biting roller coaster ride till the end. Clearly, this is going to be a softer landing, as I think the Fed, that's what they're looking for in the American economy. That's what I think the 49ers have had, a softer landing, especially with Seattle losing today. So now this is not a must-win game Thursday. Now, you can win it. Like, think about this, guy. If I would have told you, would the Niners sign up for a season where they can win the division on December, what day is the 15th, against Seattle, would they have signed up for that? December 15th, they could win the fucking NFC West. Because what you win the division, you're guaranteed a home game. Hell yeah, they would have. Don't you think? Would everyone in the organization have signed up for that?
Come on, of course.
Would every team in the NFL in the middle of August sign up for you can win your division on December 15th if you win, a Thursday night game? Do you think?
Well, has anybody clinched a playoff spot yet?
Eagles did today.
Philly has. Yeah.
Philly did today.
So they could be the second team in the league to clinch a playoff spot. I mean, obviously Buffalo and Kansas City are going, but they haven't until you win your division. You haven't clinched a spot, right? Kansas City's division. They should just give them the fucking t-shirts and hats now. What are we waiting for? Like math. They're the one team. Like the math, I'd give it to them. I guess Miami could win tonight. They're technically still. They play Buffalo again. Yeah, but
Kansas City's winning the division.
That's what you're saying. They could be the second team in the league to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah,
which
Philly technically hasn't even won the division yet, right?
It feels like what?
Philly hasn't officially won the division.
No, they've just clinched a playoff spot.
They still play Dallas, but they do, like the Niners, they got that 2-game cushion, which is they're in pretty good shape. Cowboys guy, if the Eagles were to slip up one other game and lose the Cowboys, like the Cowboys got the Jags, the Titans, and the Commanders.
Well, why would
host Philly?
Why would the Eagles even have to slip up? Dallas could just beat them head to head and take the.
No, because the Eagles only have one loss. Dallas has 3.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at. For some reason, I was looking at. Yeah, you're right.
But
My
like
bad.
Philly. But I would say Philly and the Niners.
20-0.
Now, obviously, Philly's going to have the number 1 pick. But that 2-game cushion, when you have 4 games remaining, is wouldn't you agree? Pretty fucking wide. That's a big deal because you basically have to lose 3, and they only got it's a major cushion. Unlike baseball, where 2-game lead the final week, if you fuck up, can go away. Football, it's pretty difficult. I mean, the Niners are literally playing Seattle head to head. They can lose the game; they're still in first place.
This thought had not crossed my mind before, and I actually don't think it's crazy. Question from Joe on the stream. Why hasn't Kyle gotten any Coach of the Year recognition? Now, as someone who's going to disagree with something Kyle did today later in the show, I will say this to Joe. If they end up as the 2 seed in the NFC somehow, which is not out of the realm of possibility because they're only a game behind Minnesota right now, and we'll talk about that later, he should get consideration. Now, ultimately, Philly if Philly's the 1 seed, then what's his name will win the thing, I think.
Well, if he goes 15-2, they went 9 games last year. It's a 6-game improvement. Like if Kyle were to win 11 games, it's actually only a 1-game improvement. I know the quarterback situation.
There's a difference between should you get consideration and should you win.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to argue if Philly goes 15-2 that he shouldn't win. But yeah, Kyle should absolutely get consideration for Coach of the Year if they keep this thing going.
Sirianni's heavily in the lead, right? Probably.
Nick Sirianni. Is heavily in the lead. Yes.
It'd be like having a 7-shot lead, like in the Masters heading into Sunday. Like it's gonna be hard for him to blow it.
Yeah,
They're good. I mean,
they're good, and part of it is like they get credit. He gets. It's kind of a big picture, the Jalen Hurts situation, turning that into a winner, and then getting better. It looked good last year, then making it even better this year. But
who says no first? Purdy for Jalen Hurts.
I think that Niners ask if they can put that one off for a couple more weeks, maybe. Are we sure? I mean, Kyle might not do that deal.
Jalen's pretty accurate.
Jalen's good. Yeah.
Jalen's pretty good.
So that's not a crazy thought. I am pro Kyle Shanahan, as I disagreed with him on the internet today with a lot of people. Not with Kyle. Kyle was not on the internet today. But yeah, I think it's a legitimate take by Joe there. I had not considered that possibility because this happened really quick. Kind of like the way that Caleb Williams won the Heisman in like the last 2 weeks of the season out of nowhere, you know? Kind of similar. Like if the Niners finish as the 2 seed in the NFC, it would be Shanahan out of nowhere being a Coach of the Year candidate.
Difference was that I'd say Caleb benefited a lot from a pretty questionable competition in terms of the other, like, no real, like, stalwart guys.
That like Alabama was not undefeated. Ohio State kind of limped at the end. Yeah.
Michigan's running back was having a good season, but not some, like, historic season. There weren't, like, Christian McCaffreys and Tebow's littered throughout. Like, I'd say even if Sirianni went down, well, what if Mike McCarthy won 14 games with Dak missed games?
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think the NFL.
Mike McDaniel took fucking Tua to the playoffs, potentially.
Or potentially not. We'll see.
Yeah. Brandon Staley not getting votes.